All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to talk about an apparent big advantage that Errol Spence Jr. will have over Terence Crawford if and when they meet up in the ring. And I believe that it has been revealed in a fight that took place last night between MAURICE Hooker and BLAIR, the Flair COBB on the undercard of the Virgil Ortiz versus McKinnison fight in Dallas, Texas, or Fort Worth, Texas, excuse me. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. We are going to be in the 147-pound division in this video where there was excellent fights that took place last night. One between Virgil Ortiz and I think it's Sam McKinnison. But on the undercard, the fight that I was really interested in was in, you should have been in 147 pounds. However, Mo Hooker missed weight, so it wound up being at 154 pounds. And the fight was between MAURICE Hooker, former 140-pound champion, and BLAIR the Flair COBB, who was coming off of a loss to Roshi in his last fight, but who is trained and works out of the same gym as Terence Crawford, has the same head trainer, BOMAC or Brian McIntyre, that Terence Crawford does, and actually had Terence Crawford in the camp during the fight. Now, before I get into the subject matter, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you for continuing to talk boxing with me. I really greatly appreciate it. Thank you for the support that you show in the videos that we do every day and in the live streams that we do in the morning. Also, if you're new to the channel, please accept my invitation to join the boxing community that we have here by hitting that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. We really have great conversations that take place every day, especially in the live streams that we do in the morning, where we get to talk about everything related to boxing and not just the big headlines that are out that we usually do videos about, because I want to talk about them, separate and specifically. But let's get into this. All right, Errol Spence Jr., in my opinion, and in the opinion of some other people that is starting to, going around, has a big advantage over Terence Crawford in the fight coming up if these guys actually make this fight. Now, for everybody that says the fight's not going to get made, stop telling me the fight's going to get made. If you've listened this far into the video, I'm not saying that the fight's going to get made. I do not know if the fight's going to get made. I hope that it gets made. There's a lot of roadblocks to making the fight. I've talked about the roadblocks that are out there, according to other people, about the fight. This is actually about, though, what would happen in the ring when they fight. And big advantage goes to Errol Spence Jr. in this regard, and it is not necessarily related to the skills of the fighters. It is related to the training of the trainer and the corners of those fighters. Just last night, BLAIR COBB beat badly MAURICE Hooker, who is a former 140-pound champion. Now, why is that significant? Because BLAIR the Flair COBB is not BLAIR the Flair COBB is not a top-level welterweight, and in fact, a lot of people considered BLAIR COBB to be a joke. MAURICE Hooker, although he's not toting the most power in the world, is somebody that, without a doubt, should have been able to beat BLAIR COBB if he was continually improving in his career. But when you watch the fight, you can see they didn't have any specific game plan that could work for BLAIR COBB. He came in at 150 pounds, way overweight. Now, people will say there's also, a loss that he suffered in his life. I'm not quite sure, who it was. what the relationship was, but there was a lady named Stacy that had passed away. I do believe that she was a photographer, right? But I don't know if she and Mo Hooker, obviously they had a personal relationship, not sure what kind of personal relationship it was, but, you know, that he was affected by the death of that lady. So, you know, that could point towards his performance, or why his performance was like that. But if you look at what has been happening with BOMAC's fighters, or Brian McIntyre's fighters, definitely over the last year, you'll see that these guys are pretty much steadily taking losses. You have Jamel Herring, who I do believe lost back-to-back fights. He was a champion at 130, went and trained with Brian McIntyre, wound up leaving Brian McIntyre and going to another camp, leaving that camp after he had lost that fight to Shakur Stevenson. It did not look like they really had much of a game plan or knew really what to do with Shakur Stevenson. But that's, you know, at that point in time, didn't say too much about it, because that's reasonable, right? The Shakur Stevenson, one of the best fighters in the game, and I don't know if anybody could train Shakur Stevenson to be able to be competitive. I mean, could train Jamel Herring to be competitive with Shakur Stevenson, right? But in this particular fight, I was listening to the instructions in the corner, and it just seemed like at a point, Terence Crawford jumped in and started doing more of the training or more of the coaching in the corner than Brian McIntyre did. That Terence Crawford was the one that was giving him specific instructions about what to do. Like, put your foot on the outside of his foot, aim your jab straight to the body, right? And then look around, and after that, you know, and then throw looping shots after that, right? But very, very specific instructions was coming from Terence Crawford, but just general conversation, general instructions, you know, like where not specific things were being said by Brian McIntyre to Mo Hooker in that fight. And he actually took second fiddle to Terence Crawford in his instructions, right? Now, that to me is a sign that, man, I don't know, like, how much like coaching are they really doing and preparing are they really doing of Terence Crawford, when Terence Crawford is the one that really seems like he is the more knowledgeable guy in the corner. And that is something that Brian McIntyre says in the past. He's like, sometimes when I'm watching Terence Crawford and I'm listening to him talk to other fighters, I'm learning from him when he is talking about, you know, when he's laying out the game to the other fighters that he's working with, right? Now, to me, that's not a good sign. That's not the case with Derrick James and Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. has somebody in his corner that is giving him specific instructions, telling him how to make specific adjustments that he can execute, and a guy that looks like that is doing exact game plans for the other fighter and really breaking them down. So I would have to say, just based off what I've seen over the last year, and I've been watching that there is a training advantage or a corner advantage over there in Errol Spence Jr.'s camp leading into the preparation of that fight. And I don't think anybody should underestimate exactly how important trainers are in the preparation for fights, man. That corner looked like really disheveled last night in that Maurice Hooker versus Blair Cobb. And not to be able to pull off a win against Blair Cobb when you're the level of fighter that Maurice Hooker is, it's just not a good look. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.